On this week's episode of Capital City Sports, the men's basketball team takes on Alabama and Vanderbilt. The baseball team takes on Bucknell, and the women's tennis team takes on the Clemson Tigers for another battle of the Palmetto State. This is Capital City Sports. Hello everyone and welcome to this episode of Capital City Sports. I'm your host Nick Jones. On Thursday night, the men's basketball team took on Vanderbilt. We'll send it to Brett and Kelly for all the coverage for this week's game.
The USC versus Vanderbilt men's basketball game was postponed to tonight due to the snow, but tonight's game was well worth the wait. Gamecocks came into tonight's game having lost 9 of their last 10, hoping to change that against the Vanderbilt Commodores, who've won 4 of their last 5. Let's see if the snow would bring some luck to the Gamecocks tonight. Brett Williams has the highlight.
It was an evenly matched game throughout the first half. This is an emphatic dunk by Vanderbilt's Damian Jones to spark the Commodores' offense. And then 2 possessions later on the other side, Brian Steele looks to be going for the shot, but instead he finds Mindaugas Kachinas for the layup. And as usual, Brenton Williams was hot, makes that guy miss, and then steps back to drain the 3. And then Williams once again, he makes this off-balance 2 look easy. The Gamecocks would lead by as many as 5, but Vanderbilt would come back at the end of the first half. The defense not there, and Kyle Fuller goes the length of the court in 6 seconds to cut the lead to 1. The Commodores get their first lead of the game 4 minutes into the second half. Good ball movement there, sets up the 3 from Dijon Parker, but then South Carolina gets hot beyond the arc itself. This is Dwayne Notice, steps and drains it, and then Sindarius Thornwell, with a defender in his face, he will knock it down. And finally, Brenton Williams one more time to really fire up the Colonial Life crowd. Just as the fans get into it, the team would deliver inside as well. Michael Carrera's shot doesn't go, but Demetrius Henry is there to grab it and finish and 1. Unfortunately for the Gamecocks, they've had trouble closing lately, and the Commodores cut it back to within 6 by this shot from Rod Odom. But in the end, South Carolina had too much fight. Sindarius Thornwell in, misses his shot, grabs it back, and finishes. And South Carolina would survive for its second SEC victory of the season. Your final, Gamecocks 65, Commodores 59.
Next up for South Carolina, a matchup against Alabama this Saturday at 4. Reporting from Colonial Life Arena, I'm Kelly Wiley for Capital City Sports.
This Saturday, the men's basketball team took on another SEC opponent, the Alabama Crimson Tide. We'll send it to John Dowdy to see how they fared.
Welcome into the Colonial Life Arena, where the South Carolina men's basketball team took on the Alabama Crimson Tide. Both teams are coming off of major conference wins and are looking to build momentum as they look towards the postseason. Let's check out the highlight to see what happened.
The Gamecocks came into the game at 2-9 in conference play, the Crimson Tide sitting at 4-7. Both are looking to overcome early season struggles and establish themselves down the stretch. Cocky helps the crowd of over 8,000 get hyped up to support the Gamecocks. Alabama starts out on a good note, blocking a shot by Mindaugas Kachinas and pushing up court, Trevor Relaford with the alley-oop to Shannon Hale. Michael Carrera would answer, taking the pass underneath from Chikevichus and putting down the one-handed jam. He would finish with 8 points and 7 rebounds. Sindarius Thornwell led the Gamecocks with 22 points, making this floater in the lane. He would make several shots to keep the Crimson Tide at bay. Alabama relied heavily on the 3-ball throughout the game, this one by Levi Randolph to beat the shot clock. He finished 2 of 2 from beyond the arc. Thornwell answered with his lone 3 of the game, after the Tide's defense leaves him wide open. Brenton Williams would join in on the range game, taking the outlet from Chikevichus and draining the corner 3. The senior finished with 10 points. Alabama's outside threat came from Relaford as he knocked down 4 3-pointers in the second half, hitting this one over 2 Gamecocks. His second came moments later, and the third with 4 minutes to go in the half. He would finish with 27 points. Thornwell kept the Gamecocks ahead by making clutch shot after clutch shot down the stretch, giving them the lead. Players looked on as the clock wound down, hoping to stay ahead. Relaford tried to be a hero, but his fifth three-point attempt gets stuck between the rim and the backboard. Possession error pointed to South Carolina. Michael Carrera knows it. His layup is just off the mark, but Casinas is there to finish it off, giving the Gamecocks all the momentum down the stretch. After two made free throws by Thornwell to make it a two-possession game, Relaford makes it three at the buzzer, but it would not be enough to overtake the Gamecocks' lead. It was a nail-biter, but South Carolina comes out with the win, 67-66.
It was an exciting win for the Gamecocks, and they look to build on this as they take on Arkansas next Wednesday on the road. For Capital City Sports, I'm John Dowdy. Let's take it back to the studio.
On opening day for baseball, the team took on Bucknell for a doubleheader. We'll send it to Austin Lewis for all the coverage for the first game.
It's opening day at Carolina Stadium as the number 7 South Carolina Gamecocks are taking on the Bucknell Bison. This game would turn into a blowout early. Let's take it to the highlight.
On Friday, the 7th-ranked South Carolina Gamecocks would take on the Bucknell Bison. This is the first time the Gamecocks have faced the Bison since 2010, when they squared off in the 2010 NCAA Regionals, but this game would have a remarkably different feel. The third inning would break the game open for the Gamecocks as first baseman Kyle Martin would lace a double to right field, scoring Marcus Mooney. Designated hitter D.C. Arendez would cap off the 6-run third inning with a huge 2-run home run, which will drive in Connor Bright, making the score 8-0 Gamecocks. Jordan Montgomery got the opening day start for the Gamecocks, pitching 5 shutout innings of stellar baseball, garnering 4 strikeouts while only giving up 3 hits. The 6th inning featured one of the most bizarre stat lines we will see all year, as the Gamecocks would score 6 runs on 0 hits. All 6 runs were unearned as the Bison were plagued by walks and errors. Bucknell's game was personified by this play, as the Bison get the strikeout, but the catcher could not find the ball, and Connor Bright gets on base. The Gamecocks defeat the Bison 17-4 and move to 1-0 on the season. For Austin Lewis, I'm Jeremy Urso.
In front of a packed house of 8,015, the Gamecocks would jump out to an 8-0 lead after the third inning, and they would go on cruise control from there. The Gamecocks will take on the Bison as part of today's doubleheader in the second game. For Capital City Sports, I'm Austin Lewis.
Thanks, Austin. For the next game, we'll send it to Brian Principe and Stan Smith.
After the Gamecocks defeated the Bucknell Bison 17-4 in Game 1 of a doubleheader, we came back here at Carolina Stadium to take on Game 2 of the doubleheader. The South Carolina Gamecocks look to continue their winning ways against the Bucknell Bison with Jake Weinkoop on the mound. Let's check out and see if the Gamecocks do that with Stan Smith with the analysis.
Top of the first inning, and Jack Weinkoop strikes out a Bucknell batter to end the inning with 3 runners left on board. On to the second inning, Marcus Mooney makes an incredible barehanded catch and throw to get the runner out at first base. Weinkoop finishes the second inning strong by striking out 2 consecutive Bucknell batters. In the bottom of the second, Connor Bright hits a shot into left field. The Bucknell outfielder wasn't able to make the grab, and Bright managed to get a double. Two batters later, Tanner English singled to left and scored another run for the Gamecocks, making the score 2-0. Marcus Mooney hit a sac bunt, scoring the runner on third and making it 3-0. The next batter was Max Schrock, who singled into right field and brought home another run for South Carolina. Schrock showed his wheels by stealing second base. 1 is good, 2 is better. Schrock steals third, his second stolen base of the inning. In the third inning, Bucknell showed some life as Corey Furman blasted a home run into right field. The Bison weren't finished as John Mayer uses more than half of his heart to hit this shot into left field, scoring another run, cutting the Gamecocks' lead to 2. However, Bucknell's 2-run inning would come to an end as DC Arendas ends the inning with his throw to first. Bucknell pitcher Dan Weigel would throw some heat in the 4th inning as he strikes out Tanner English, then Max Schrock. Jack Wynkoop would say, "Whatever you can do, I can do better," as he strikes out Justin Meyer to end the 5th. Bottom of the 5th, Grayson Griner hits a deep ball to center, and he brought home 2 runs, making the score 6-2. The Gamecocks brought in a new pitcher, Kurt Britt, and he strikes out 2 more Bison. In the 7th inning, Tanner English hits the ball to deep left center, bringing home Arendas and Bright, and extended the South Carolina lead to 8-2. To the bottom of the 8th, Connor Bright singles to center and scores 2 more runs, making it 10-2 Gamecocks. Same inning, English would come back to single into left field, bringing home another pair of runners, making the score 12-2 South Carolina. Top of the 9th, the game went in on a pop fly to Mooney, and the final score being 12-2. The Gamecocks accumulated 13 strikeouts from their pitchers. Jack Wynkoop picked up the W for the Gamecocks, while Dan Weigel drops to 0-1 for Bucknell, and the Gamecocks capped off a doubleheader sweep against the Bison. Back to you, Brian.
Thanks, Dan. Tanner English had a huge game for the Gamecocks, registering 5 RBIs, which is a career high for the outfielder. He and the rest of the Gamecocks look to sweep the Bison Sunday here at Carolina Stadium at 12:30. For Capital City Sports, and on a chilly night here in Carolina Stadium, I'm Brian Principe.
This Sunday, the Gamecocks women's tennis team took on the Clemson Tigers for another classic matchup. We'll send it to Jeremy Urso for all the highlights of the match.
This past Sunday, the USC women's tennis team took on the number 12 Clemson Tigers at home. After the Gamecocks lost the doubles point to start the competition, USC's Katerina Popova took on Clemson's Beatrice Gamulya. USC got off to a slow start as Popova comes up to the net after hitting a nicely placed forehand, but her opponent is able to come up with a beautiful passing shot. This would lead to an unforced error by the Gamecocks after Popova does not follow through with her backhand and hits the ball into the net. Clemson gets the early break and leads 1-0. Later in the set, we see great consistency by the two competitors and then amazing footwork by Popova's opponent as she is able to run back from the net and hit a circus shot to continue the rally, and then Popova's footing gets offset and she is unable to win the point. Later in the game, USC drops the first set after Gamulya hits a nice forehand down the line. Clemson leads 1-0. But things would start to change for the better in the second set after Gamulya cannot come up with the routine backhand and Popova gets the early break. USC leads 1-0 in the second set. And then later in the second set, Gamulya would make another unforced error after her backhand goes long. Popova would clinch the second set after her opponent hits a return of serve into the net. Both players are tied at a set apiece. They now play a 10-point tiebreaker to decide the match. Popova would go on to win the tiebreaker and the match for her team. However, USC would lose 4 out of the 7 singles matches played. It would lose the overall competition 5-2. Jeremy Urso, Capital City Sports.
Thank you for watching this week's episode of Capital City Sports. Don't forget to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter at CCS on SGTV. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.